Hey there and welcome back. This is Felix from Goldammer Vintage Watches. When I say that the Cartier Ceinture is one of the hidden gems of the vintage watch market today, I'm definitely not overdoing it. As you probably all have noticed, Cartier has become a major player in the world of watches, seemingly overnight. The Cartier Tank, Santos Dumont, Panthère, Mastic Cartier and many other models are hardly to be imagined from the heads of the collector community. But one of these models that has always captivated me is the Centure. It is an under-the-radar classic that is often forgotten in the watch collector community because it was only produced for a short time in the 70s and never reissued. And today we give it a stage light that it deserves, because it is unfairly under the shadow of the more famous models. But before we explain why we think that Cartier is currently going through the roof, we want to focus on the Centure and tell you briefly and crisply her short life story. So let's start with a few facts. Case sizes: 24 mm, 27 mm, our current model, and 31 mm. Materials: yellow gold, white gold, two-tone yellow and white gold, Trinity with yellow, rosé and white gold, or even platinum. Movements: quartz, the hand-wound caliber 78.1 and automatic movement ETA caliber 170. Years of manufacture: only 3 years from 1973 to 1976. The estimated prices for these pieces are around $3,500 up to $7,000 on the vintage market. Rare models in platinum, of course, higher. The first Centure watch, just like the much more famous Tank, is also already almost 100 years old and dates back to 1927. Then, in 1973 to 1974, the model was then reissued in two different case sizes, 25 mm and 27 mm. In the following year, in 1975, a new version with 31 mm was released. And keep in mind, this is the 70s. Of course, some of the smaller Centure models in 25 mm were also equipped with a quartz movement. But most of them, like our current model, were powered by a hand-wound caliber 78.1. The large 31 mm version was equipped with an automatic ETA movement, which is why the case is a bit thicker than the other two smaller models. At this time, as in the decades before, yellow gold was the most important alloy in the Cartier collection. And this was also true for the Centure line. But as already mentioned, white gold cases were also available in small numbers, as were some two-tone models in yellow and white gold, and even three-tone models with rosé gold added. In 1975, even a very rare platinum version with mechanical caliber red numerals and a case of 25 mm was launched. The Centure was so named because the case is shaped like a belt buckle, as ceinture is a French word for belt. It has a very interesting square case with what appears to be cut corners, a case design that was unusual until then. But the real unique feature of this watch is the winding crown, which is usually very flashy in the house of Cartier and is set with a blue sapphire. So to speak, the characteristic element of Cartier is here completely flat and located in a slot of the bezel of the watch, without the usual sapphire cabochon. Due to this mechanism and the resulting protection of the crown, possible damage caused by winding the movement and setting the time is of course significantly reduced. The shape of the crown of a Centure watch is octagonal, although some models also had flat round crowns with small notches. An unusual but beautiful solution, especially considering that the crown was already designed in 1937, more than 80 years ago. Cartier engineers are masters at breathing new life into old designs, and in modern times they haven't forgotten this elegant winding solution, reintroducing it with the Tank Anglaise and, to some extent, the Ballon Bleu. But in both cases the crown again features the famous blue sapphire, even if it is somewhat obscured by the case flank. The larger 31 mm Centure model with automatic caliber is different from the other smaller two, however. Not only is it larger, but as mentioned earlier, it is also thicker. having a bulge on the back to make more room for its automatic caliber 170, an ETA movement. The production of the yellow gold automatic version was lower than of its smaller counterparts, while the white gold automatic version must have been produced in even lower numbers, as it is hard to find even at auctions. Accordingly, the market prices, if they appear at all, are much higher at around $9,000. On the dial, we find the characteristic Cartier layout with Rome numerals, a railroad minute track, and the characteristic blued steel hand. Furthermore, almost all Centure models have the wording Paris under the Roman 6 instead of the usual Swiss or Swiss-made imprint. This and the Paris signing on the case back indicates that most Centure pieces were sold in the Cartier flagship boutique in Paris, because only then they were allowed to be sold with this imprint. For me personally, the 27mm with manual winding caliber is the most purest and classic among all three variants. I love the square, simple and timeless design, the corners of which have been cut off, making the watch stand out on the wrist, more than one would expect from its slim proportions. With its deeply stragged bezel, the Centure is a truly interesting timepiece on the wrist. And this is also helped by the Centure's octagonal crown, which blends into the case and acts as an extension of the step bezel. In the intro, I already mentioned, as it seems to me, that Cartier as a watchmaker has become the non-plus-ultra from one day to the next. But in fact, Cartier's recent rise in popularity has a longer history than one might think at first glance. Even in the 20th and early 21st centuries, Cartier was never really considered a watchmaker on par with brands like Patek Philippe and Vacheron Constantin. Sure, we all know the history of Louis Cartier and the development of the first commercial man's wristwatch, the Santos in 1904. But the brand has never been known for brilliant movement designs or technological innovation. And Cartier has nonetheless found its own unique path as a brand focused on pure luxury and stunning yet classic design, with less emphasis on technical innovation. And the Maison has stuck with it to this day. You could say a Cartier unique selling point. Check out this Cartier Lips reference 7809, also from the 70s. Also on this 33mm white beauty, it is once again clear that models of Cartier have a sense of real exclusivity, luxury and fashionable taste. And these three qualities are characteristics that people are really craving for at the moment. And few manufacturers have consistently produced pieces over the decades with such a sense of style and elegance as Cartier has always done in the watch world. So one could say nothing beats an iconic Cartier design, be it an affordable gold-plated Master Cartier or a two-tone Santos. And as aesthetics and design fundamentals play an increasingly large role in watch collecting, the general interest in Cartier pieces is also on the rise. In our opinion, the recognition and appreciation of design as a craftsmanship is one of the most important reasons why Cartier is currently experiencing such a renaissance. Another reason is that the most famous Cartier designs are now being celebrated not only by Cartier collectors, but also by a wider public. Over the last few years, we have seen a broad shift away from large case sizes for watches. The days of kitchen watches on the wrist well over 40mm are thankfully over. With this shift in perception, Cartier watches are becoming interesting to people who previously considered a Cartier watch too small. With this new appreciation for aesthetics and design, many are beginning to appreciate the beauty and wearability of the brand's simple and elegant designs. In fact, there's hardly a model we don't like that Cartier launched in the 20th century. And that statement from us is exceedingly rare. Furthermore, Cartier has a clear line in their company philosophy. They continue to reissue historical models with a modern twist, which is one of the reasons why we are sure that the demand for Cartier as a watchmaker will continue to play a significant role in the decades to come. So that's it for today. We hope you enjoyed the video. And yeah, should you come across a well-preserved Centure in the future, don't hesitate to buy it. The prices will certainly not go down.